A few years ago, I made a trip out to Montana to pick up Kyle, who had been, during the summer, working with a rafting company as a guide. And when he was finished, we were going to be making our way home, but he had other plans, and so we headed to about 5 or 6 national parks, heading southwest instead of east to home. I remember being on one hike in Yellowstone National Park, and I had a lot of things I was thinking about or concerned about, and we were midway through the hike, and I realized I was missing all this beauty around us. I was just missing. I was so lost in my thoughts and kind of the chatter in my mind. I wasn't even present with where I was. It took a little while to kind of lift up the thoughts and the worries to God, saying, God, you got to carry these, because right now I really want to be present where I am. And eventually it kind of kicked in, and I began to notice things. And what I noticed began to kind of calm my heart and focus my mind on the presence of God, not only around me in the grandeur of what I was seeing, but also within me, to bring peace and guidance and even wisdom. I was speaking to a friend a few days ago who's calling a number of people, and just said what I'm hearing is a lot of loneliness. A lot of people who are just lonely. They miss community, they miss connection. I spoke today with another friend who has a senior in high school, and just, I'm trying to kind of move along through all the things that are happening, but then I just get really sad at what my senior is kind of missing and what my senior can't really experience. And it just, if I'm honest, it kind of brings out some sadness and some tears. And I think we do well to be honest and acknowledge the loneliness that's there and the sadness that we're experiencing. If we try to just keep pushing through a lot of these emotions, we miss a lot of what's happening around us and within us. So maybe we do well to acknowledge, yeah, I am lonely. And we just sit with that for a little while. At least be clear and honest and authentic and say, yeah, I'm feeling loneliness. We don't have to suppress it or deny it or try to fix it, as much as simply name it and say it's there, and what's it trying to tell me? Well, it's trying to tell me that I'm missing connection with people. I'm wired for community. I do well when I have people around me that I'm linked with that can give me a sense of joy and camaraderie and partnership and friendship. We're wired for that, and so we do well to kind of acknowledge what the loneliness is telling us, and then find some paths to respond to that need for connection. Or maybe what's the sadness telling us? It's telling us that we feel like our routine and our schedule and our expectations have been radically interrupted by the pandemic, and the things that we had hoped for, we're not able to necessarily experience them. And it's okay to acknowledge the sadness. What's the sadness telling us? Well, it means we have some hopes and some dreams. And what are those dreams? How do we maybe not expect to have those fulfilled right now, but how can we begin to plan for a time when we can cherish time and travel and connection like we haven't been able to right now? So the honest reflection and even encounter with what we're going through is important, that we might be able to discover what God is doing and showing us around us, but also within us. Macrina Whitaker has a poem that I like to read. It was only a small wind, rather gentle like a breeze, and it blew a strand of hair across my forehead, and I knew that it was God. I was awakened by a tiny gleam of light. It slipped through my curtain onto my face. And it drew me to my feet and on to the window, drawing back the curtains. Dawn stepped softly into my room, and I knew that it was God. In the middle of my loneliness, the phone rang, and a voice I knew so well said, "Hello, I love you." And love stirred in my soul, and I knew that it was God. Rain fell gently on the thirsty ground, slowly, carefully, steadily it came to an earth parched with waiting. And through these holy raindrops I walked, unafraid, without an umbrella, and I knew that it was God. It was only a little bitterness, I thought, but it wouldn't leave my heart. And it hung around my soul. It hung around my soul for ages until a storm came, violent and terrifying, and blew all the bitterness away, and I knew that it was God. It was only a silver maple, but in the morning's sunlight, it was filled with heaven. And I stood in a trance as one touched by angel wings, and I knew that it was God. Oh God, I cried, enduring one, I love you. You cannot hide from me. Between the cracks of daily life, I find you waiting to be adored. You slip into my life like night and day, like stars and sunshine, and I know that you are God. Know that God is with you, around you, within you, walking beside you, reminding you that you're not alone, that He understands the loneliness and the sadness and is there to bring healing and comfort and hope and love. May God's love accompany you and strengthen you for this time. Be at peace.